G'day Matthew.
G'day Damien, how you going?
Good, yourself?
Very well indeed.
So in the coursework that we've been running through so far for digital marketing agencies, we've been talking about sales speak. We've been talking about things like the difference between a feature and a benefit and why we need to talk about benefits. We've been talking about influence factors, things that we should talk about that will resonate better with our prospects.
Okay.
But in the heat of battle, on a cold call, when we meet someone for the first time at a networking event, typically as digital marketers, we sell through passion.
Sure.
Right? We're so passionate about the design that we do or the websites we build or, achieving top positions in Google that it's the passion that bubbles out.
Mm.
So as a sales expert, how do we actually start improving our skills so we better talk to prospects from their perspective?
Yeah, okay. So look, this is really interesting. I see this quite a lot in pretty much every business that I work in. Essentially, we as technicians or we as business owners really do the thing we do very, very well, or we wouldn't have clients in the first place. What we actually have to do is understand what result we're creating for the customer. And so how I actually position that in my mind, and I'll get to talking about features and benefits in a moment, and what is actually perceived as a feature or benefit for the customer, is I think about Mount Everest. When somebody goes to climb Mount Everest, they're trying to get to the summit. And so in a business, to acquire a new client, your summit, your point where you actually are winning, it's actually when you acquire the client, when you can go ahead and start building that website or creating that new campaign. But for the client, it's not about getting that new campaign or that new website, because let's be honest, nobody actually really wants a website. They want what the result of that website's going to be. So that's one of the big shifts we need to make as salespeople or digital marketers. We go, right, well, what are we doing, but what is the benefit we're creating? So what's the summit for the client? Well, the summit for the client might be creating more leads and converting more business. And so what? If I get more business, what can I do with that? And some of the conversations I'll take you through later is actually how to unpack that for a customer and making sure they get to a point where they're actually excited about starting this journey with you. Because if you're only calling them up and having a conversation around, hi, I'm calling about digital marketing, well, then it's up to the customer to take digital marketing to mean holiday in Vanuatu.
Mm.
And that's a huge gap.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned features and benefits earlier. It's only a feature or a benefit or an advantage if the client perceives it to be as such.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it's interesting with climbing Mount Everest because getting to the top, as a technician, it sort of feels like that's the benefit, but it's probably not for the client. The client could be enjoying the view, or that sense of immense satisfaction, or getting back to the pub in 3 weeks and high-fiving all his mates. It could be something completely different to what we perceive it to be.
Exactly.
So with that in mind, what would you suggest a digital marketing agency does to really try to understand what the benefits, how would they go about understanding what the benefits for their ideal clients are?
Yeah, look, that's great. So, I'm assuming that there are the businesses in the room today have some clients, and if you think about your perfect client or your avatar, which I think you've gone through already in today, with that, one of the jobs you just want to note down is call your top 5 or 8 customers, and call them and say, hey, what has been the result of the work we've done for you? And they'll probably start, because you've been working with them, they'll probably start saying, oh, well, you've built me a website and you've done a pay-per-click, and no. What is the result of this work? How have we actually helped you run your business better? How have we given you a longer holiday? And so once you understand that, they're the results you're creating. As I said, nobody wants the things we do. Hey, look, I'm a sales trainer. Nobody wants sales training. But what they want is a better business. What they want is a functional business that actually works without them. And that's what great marketing does. And of course, stitching in good sales, that's what us two together work really well.
So part of that, obviously, continue asking questions because, as you say, your top clients will say things like, well, you built a website or you did a great pay-per-click campaign. So what has that done for your business?
Yeah.
That's the next one. And then they'll say, oh, well, it means that instead of having 10 leads a month, we're now getting 40 leads a month. Well, what has that done for your business? It says, well, we've employed this and this and this, which has freed up my time. Well, then what has that done for your life? And you keep unpacking that.
Yeah.
Which then, when one of the influencing factors that we talked about was social proof, so then that can, reverse engineer into your sales speak. We can say, well, we help businesses just like yours achieve this in their business and this in their life.
That's right.
So that's all cool. So another question I've got though is bringing it back to the start of a journey. So
Yes.
this company wants to, metaphorically climb the Mount Everest in their industry, but they don't know me. You know?
Got it.
So how do I start that journey with them so that I start getting the answers, so I understand what their Mount Everest looks like, so then I can actually, I've got the background information for my ideal clients, but everyone's different. How do I start unpacking this difference for a prospect, given that, it's the start of the journey, there's no trust relationship? How do I do that?
Yeah, well, one of the things I say in my my public seminars is I actually have a slide up that's called pitching, and so what I do is I've Googled the word pitch, and it's the first one is a noun, which is a dark viscous substance like a tar, and obviously the wrong version of pitch, but the reality is most people you're pitching to feel like they're stuck knee deep up in tar. They just got to get away. And the way to get around that is by asking great questions, understanding the value you create for the customer, and also alluding to the what would happen if there was a lack of that value in that business. And so the best way to do that is developing a questioning framework. And developing a questioning framework means that understanding not just do you have a website, do you have a campaign, because they're yes/no answers and they're a bit cold and cut and dry. We want to ask open-ended questions. So an open-ended question is how, what, when, where.
Why?
Why? Well, the why is the biggest one, right?
Yeah.
So we want to understand more about the customer. So one of the challenges is a customer might come to us and say, hey, do you guys build websites? Or do you guys use WordPress, as an example? Well, we don't want to just say yes, because that's not actually helping the customer. We want to say, well, look, we work on a number of platforms. Is having a WordPress platform important to you? The customer goes, yes or no. Now, understanding that, they go, well, no. Oh, okay, so what is the end result you're trying to achieve? And it takes them away from that technical piece, because customers think they need to ask you questions, but they're not qualified. If the dentist is asking the digital marketer questions, but they're not qualified to ask questions. You're the digital marketing expert. You're the doctor here. You need to go ahead and ask enough questions so you can prescribe a solution, because having a better website might not be the answer. Having a pay-per-click campaign might not be the answer. We need to understand where the client needs to be or what the problems are before we prescribe anything.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Let's just role play. Let's keep going with that conversation. So I say, well, yes, WordPress is important to me.
Oh, good. What's the outcome you're trying to achieve with that?
Yeah. So straight away, there's a number of ways you can go with that, isn't it? It's like even just once again a why. Why is because I don't know. I've just heard that it's good. It's the best platform.
Absolutely.
What's the outcome? Well, I heard why and what the outcome. Same question. Well, I heard it works really well with SEO. That's my non-technical approach to it. Because I've heard
somebody at a barbecue on the weekend
exactly
said, "Oh, no, you've got to have WordPress because Google own WordPress or they don't own WordPress."
But it works well with SEO as the industry thing. So what happens then?
Well, then you just keep following that path. Oh, okay. So you feel that SEO is important to you?
Well, yeah, I've got to get business from Google. That's what.
Right.
And all of a sudden, this conversation is unpacking.
Yeah. And so where do you currently rank?
I have no idea.
Well, okay, what I can do for you, if you like, is after we finish this conversation, I can probably go ahead and develop and put together a bit of an audit for you. Would that be of help?
Yeah, awesome.
So you see what we've done there? What we've actually done is we've taken it, a person said, hey, do you build WordPress websites? Now I've actually got to a point where the person understands that that SEO is actually important, because websites not important.
And asking you for information about SEO, and given to you that's where he's going.
Yep.
Given that intelligence, that's where he's going.
That's right.
Which for you as a digital marketer, that was potentially going to sell a website for $3,000. Now you've got a monthly retainer of potentially $800, $900 a month also.
That's right. And also you're at a higher level, so we go to a mechanic to fix tinker on the tools. And a lot of people in digital marketing are very good at tinkering on the tools. But if you get a bit higher, the more strategic level you can position yourself at, the more money you can charge, the better satisfaction rate you can create with your customer, and a longer contract you can develop with them as well.
Yeah. So let's just keep role playing this though, because talking about trying to get to that, what the goals are. How are we going to direct this conversation to understand what, let's say, is a dentist?
Sure.
So yes, SEO is important to you. Maybe the question then is, so you understand that leads come through from Google. because that's where people search for your services. SEO, you know, you realise it's 6 to 9 months. Are you willing to wait for that and invest over that 6 to 9 months, or do you need the business now? And then that can go into an AdWords sort of
Absolutely.
direction.
So, you know, you might want to position it along the lines of, well, are you aware of how long it actually takes to get an SEO campaign up?
Yeah.
So we don't want to teach anything yet at this stage. We want to have, in the early stages of any sales conversation or any general conversation, the more questions you ask, I call it the 70-30 rule. So 70% of the time the customer's speaking, 30% of the time you're asking questions. And those questions are around giving you more information. Remember, you're the doctor of digital marketing, and you want to understand everything you can about that particular issue before you diagnose anything. Because really a customer couldn't care less whether you have create the most clever and brilliant SEO campaign, website, landing page, video content thing. If you generated more leads by holding a wobble sign on the side of the freeway, they would say, go hold a wobble sign on the side of the freeway. They don't care. It's actually about the end result they're trying to achieve, which is converted leads.
That's it. So, and when you also, and this is trying to tie this back in succinctly with getting to the Vanuatu trip or whatever.
Sure.
It's like when you start understanding time frames and things like that, then the questions go down the path of, well, why is this really, why is short term important to you?
Yep.
Or are you really focused on actually having a long-term outcome, you know, business you can sell in 5 years? Those sort of questions.
Absolutely.
And then maybe it's come, well, geez, I've actually got the kids' school fees. You know, they're going to St. Stephen's or whatever. I need to pay the school fees and they're coming up in 3 months. I need this result now because there's not enough money. Then you know that AdWords is the right way to go.
Sure.
Or, you know what, you're right, maybe it is a long-term game I'm looking for, and then SEO is the right way. But whatever it is, it gives you a reference for that client, isn't that right? That you can talk about AdWords being the school fee project.
Yes.
You know, you talked about you know, the Vanuatu project or the Mount Everest project with me quite often, and it just changes the context of the conversation.
Yeah, actually, a couple of about 6 or 8 months ago, I was having a conversation with a digital agency. They engaged me to help them build their sales, and one of the projects was on was a lawnmower man, so a mower sales business. And so, you know, the conversation was, hi, I'm calling about the website, and it started to grow a really long beard. It got stale. And as we know, time is the ultimate killer of all enthusiasm, especially in sales. And when people are looking to make those changes, when they have to climb that next little hill and they haven't got a vision on the summit, then they start going, well, is it all worth it? It's all a bit hard. So what we did is we changed the conversation from, I'm calling about the mowers, and then I got the salesperson to call up and say, why are we doing this? Look, I know we've started this project, but why are we doing this? Let's just go back. What was the original reason that you engaged us? Well, to get more, and he gave us a top of mind answer, to get more leads. And what would more leads do for you? It would produce this. And well, that would give me the ability to take the family to Vanuatu. This was a real conversation. I'm quoting. So
that's where Vanuatu came
Yeah, that's right.
Vanuatu wasn't me.
So it wasn't a made up conversation.
Yeah.
This is a real conversation that occurred with a customer. And so we actually we attached the hard work to the fun that the client wanted.
Yeah.
And then the next time we called up, or the customer, the digital agency phoned up, it wasn't, hi, I'm calling to follow up. It's, hi, I'm calling to continue our conversation about getting you to Vanuatu in 6 months with the family. And it immediately snaps the customer back into that mindset of, this is where I'm going, this is worth it. So let's go ahead and go through that boring checklist the web guy's given me of what's my site map going to look like and what's the content I've got to write, because that's hard stuff for the client because they're not built like that. That makes sense?
Absolutely. And just to really tie up, we'll finish this video here, but you know, going to Vanuatu as the benefit of doing digital marketing, it's so different to what we think the benefit is as a business owner doing the technical stuff that we're doing. It's nothing to do with the business.
It's nothing to do with it.
So that's what we've got to unpack.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
My pleasure.